Welcome to Northwest Arkansas Investing Podcast, your go-to source for real estate investing in Northwest Arkansas.
Whether you're a seasoned investor just starting out, we bring you expert insights, market trends, and practical strategies to help you build wealth through real estate.
From buying and selling to property management and long-term investment planning, we cover it all so you can make smart, informed decisions in this fast-growing market. Let's dive in.
Welcome to Northwest Arkansas Investing Podcast. We have Steve Fineberg with us, owner, CEO, president, whatever you want to call him, of Fineberg and Associates. Thank you, Steve, for coming on. We really appreciate your time. I'm looking forward to a good podcast. You've been great spirits so far. We love people who are easy to talk to, and you already seem like one of those guys.
Well, thank you. Thank you for inviting me. I'm was surprised when Brian asked me, and I'm honored to be here. Really, I feel privileged to be here.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Years. I mean, you're one of the, to me, Brandon and I have grown up in this area. And to me, you're one of the staple names in this area of when I think about real estate, especially commercial real estate, I think of Fineberg comes to my mind. And so I think that's maybe just a tip of my cap to you and all you've done over the years. I mean, it's been really cool to see your brand grow and the things you've been doing in this area. So, really.
Well, thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
I guess all that door knocking, phone calls, tires were trudged out on the cars, automobiles, all just paid off. I guess.
Yeah, it paid off.
Somewhat.
It paid off.
All the
that
stuff
grunt
that
work.
nobody, all the stuff that nobody else sees, right?
Sore knuckles, all of it.
Yeah.
Do people still door knock for
That's how it started.
Yeah,
I mean, when I came here in 1996,
That was the year I was born.
the interstate wasn't open. Nothing you see around. Nothing. You can do like a 360-degree circle,
Mhm.
and there's not a building, in Greek, and not an edifice that's present today. Then that's there now. It's totally another planet.
Did you come straight to Rogers, or did you do where did you land when you first came to NWA in '96?
Well, I don't want to dote on that, but I'll try to answer your question. I came from Dallas,
Okay.
and I came here. Truth is, I came here broke.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'd had a 10-year successful experience in Oklahoma City,
Mhm.
acquiring apartment buildings with a partner and partners.
Mhm.
And that was prior to anybody in this room being alive, other than me. And we had a real successful term until interest rates became at 20%. So I left Oklahoma City, went to Dallas, and struggled. Dallas was right behind Oklahoma. It was an energy state, and it was right behind the fall. So I just, whatever capital I had remaining after losing all those buildings one at a time, trying to give them back to lenders, I spent everything I could to hold on. In retrospect, I wish I'd done that a little bit differently. But so I came here I needed to start over, to start a new real estate career.
Yeah.
And I'm a U of A graduate. I grew up in Fort Smith, so I had some familiarity geographically, but I really knew nobody any longer. I'd been, so that's that's the seed for me being here. That's all the door knocking and the phone calling and all that.
Well, a line I'm hearing so far with just talking to you is that it wasn't necessarily that you had this huge master plan laid out and you're like, here's the steps for my life, but you just got after it and started throwing punches and seeing what stuck and fighting. Is that would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, everybody has a personal story, and mine started out fairly austere, and then I had more success in Oklahoma than I ever thought I would have as a young guy, and then vacancies fell to 20%, 30% because there was a mass exodus of people leaving the area due to the energy sector.
Yeah. So
all that success just diminished so fast, like a fast elevator falling. You could not. It was just mass bankruptcies nationally at that time, and so all I knew was to work. I mean, just market and work and struggle, and that's what brought me here. I didn't have a master plan. I just knew I needed a fresh canvas from Dallas, and that's what brought me here. And then just one day at a time, one brick at a time.
Well, it sounds like you have quite the appetite for risk, because I think if a lot of people would have gone through exactly what you went through, probably they would have not thrown the punch again, right? I mean, I can't imagine going through that and being like, let's go do it again, or I can't.
Well, I was burning with determination.
Yeah.
So I think that was the impetus behind it all. I had not really worked for anybody.
Yeah.
Was that you or me?
You're good.
So, pardon me. So
Busy man.
I just, when you work for someone else, there is a ceiling, and I've always liked to work where there is no ceiling.
Yeah. Right.
That whatever you do, it's dependent upon when, where, and who you are. It's not just who you are; it's when you're there, where you are, where the when is, and you. The convergence of those three things.
Yeah.
So I just thought, I want to do and build, and I just that's I don't know. I think it's a DNA there, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. Some people just have it.
Well, I'm not.
Whatever
I mean,
it
I don't
is.
know if it's a good thing to have. I mean, honestly, you ride a lot of roller coasters. You're up, you're down, you're up, you're down. You're successful, you're not successful. You're drinking the wine, and then the next day you're stomping the grapes.
Yeah.
So I've done all of that, and it's been quite a journey.
Yeah.
Here, Northwest Arkansas has treated me very, very well. I can just tell you that.
Yeah.
I came here, didn't know anybody, and everybody was very open to discussion and talking, and one thing led to another. I just, that's how I did it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's no secret. It's just don't tell anybody, but you just work hard and a little luck along the way.
Yeah.
I love that.
Good luck.
Yeah. Good luck.
So what? I'd love to hear a little bit more about your time in Oklahoma, and you don't have to dive too deep. But what originally? It sounds like at a young age, you started buying some apartment complexes with some partners and things like that. What first struck that love for real estate, or that interest in real estate, I guess? Was there?
Well, I was contacted by somebody to manage some apartment buildings, and I was in San Antonio, Texas at that time. I was about 24 years old. I'd been in the military in the Vietnam era. And so I went to work in Oklahoma City as a property manager, managing a couple of thousand apartment units. And honestly, the people who reported to me knew more about the business than I did. That's the truth. And but I learned a lot. I learned how to budget, column by column, month by month, expense code by expense code, annual budgets. And in those days, we did them with spreadsheets.
Yeah.
And it was a real journey. I mean, you would. And the leader at that time I worked for, I learned a lot from him. And I did that for, I think, 3 years, left. I said, you know what, I can do this myself. So I set up a table in my bedroom that time, my wife at that time in our bedroom at that time, and a calculator. And I said, I'm going to go out and find management, apartment management.
Right.
So I would go to the Oklahoma City courthouse, county courthouse, and look up ownership of real estate in Oklahoma City. And it was from all over the country. It was Los Angeles, Canada, the future 51st state. I'm just kidding. But all over the country. And I would call and make cold calls. So I got used to making cold calls. Yeah. And I get contracts signed. It's this kill it fun. And so then the interest rates set in. Yeah. And people, I'm calling the ownership because I'm managing their building, fee management. Yep. Everybody had a separate account. We didn't commingle any money. And I would say we need $10,000, $5,000, $20,000, whatever it was for your account to make payrolls and mortgage payments and keep the pool clean. And I got really tired of making cash calls, and they got tired of paying them. Yeah. And I could see their books because I know how poorly they were doing. Right. So I would suggest, if I could get you out, if I could put a deal together and take a note would you be interested in that just to get out of the fire? And the answer was often yes.
Yeah. Please.
So I would went to an attorney, had a prospectus drawn up, with all the proper disclosures at the SEC at that time.
Yeah.
It still is that way. And I would cold call investors one-on-one. You're a doctor, you're an oil man, you're whatever you are, and I've got units in this building, 50,000 a unit, 20,000, whatever it was, and I'm raising $1 million or $500,000 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And they sign with all the disclosures of all the things that could go awry, and there's always things that can go,
Yeah.
Excuse me. So I did that, and we assembled about 20 partnerships. In aggregate, there was roughly 100 partners. Some of them were investors in several buildings.
Right.
Some maybe just single. And I'm proud to say I never had an investor call me back angry that we were losing them.
Wow.
And I think the reason that happened is because every time I took a breath, I wrote a letter. I wrote a letter of what I'm doing. I'm raising rents. I'm lowering rents. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. And do I have the support? And so everybody was kept abreast.
Yeah. Full
And
disclosure.
I never had an internal revenue problem with all the partners because everybody knew, there was no claim of you woulda, coulda, shoulda done this or that.
Yeah.
And there was, at that time, there was what was called phantom income, and some of you may know what that is. That's if you're a general partner, and I was the general partner. And in those days, the federal government had installed what was called accelerated depreciation, giving investors the opportunity to take accelerated depreciation, not a 25 or 30-year write-off, but maybe a 5-year write-off. And you take that building, write it off in 5 years. Well, all of that sheltered income from the investors.
Yeah.
Okay, so you add that shelter, the result of that shelter, plus the cash flow, those returns were pretty good.
Yeah.
And that worked out well for about 5-6 years. And then when you say you have to ask for cash, it goes away real quickly.
Yeah.
I'll tell you.
Yeah.
So I learned how to manage properties,
Yeah.
the physicality, managing
It's a really good foundation.
the resident managers. I did sales training with them, how to lease an apartment, how to give a tour, how to get the lease signed, yada yada yada. And we have role playing with my managers. And then I got big enough where I hired certified property managers that reported to me, and they would do that. And then you're managing, as Brian does, the fiscal, the monetary management of each investment. So all that went, down the drain with the loss of the buildings.
Yeah.
And then I moved to Dallas, and I thought, well, I'll do what I did in Oklahoma, but that didn't work out because Dallas was right behind Oklahoma
Yeah.
in the dissension, the fall. So all I knew was apartments. I didn't know retail, office, industrial. I just knew, I didn't know medical. I just knew apartments. So I thought, I need to learn how to play more instruments in the orchestra, more instruments in the band.
Yeah.
So I started hanging out with some retail guys down there, and they taught me how to do a commercial lease. So, it's not rocket science.
Right.
So I had to learn how to add to my skill set.
Yeah.
And so when I moved here, the apartments were so small, you couldn't make any money managing them.
Yeah.
You need this called consolidation, because if you run here for 10 units and run over there for 30 units, you're just spinning your wheels.
Yeah.
So I said, I'm not doing any more management.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, now then the technology has changed. It was all done by then with spreadsheets. Now it's all input with Excel charts, et cetera, software. But the fundamentals were exactly the same.
Yeah.
It's income and expenses.
Yeah.
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 And that's what it boils down to. So I've never done management here. I I've thought about attempting to do that now that their buildings are larger, but they're already managed. You're not allowed to call on another listing, so I can't. That's hard to break into. I know how,
Yeah.
but so I've just been sticking to my what I've done here is brokering,
Wow.
Yeah.
retail, warehouse, office, medical.
Mm-hmm.
What else? Did I name them all? Retail, office, medical,
Industrial.
industrial.
Space.
Yeah, so we do it at all. And in a market this size, when I came here, if you did not be pretty adept at all of them, you would not make a living because each sector was so small.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're in a larger city like Dallas, you would just focus on a sector. Maybe it's medical, maybe it's fast food, maybe it's retail and whatever it is.
Right.
But in a market this size, although it's getting to be a size now, you could almost specialize.
Mm-hmm.
But in those days, you had to do everything and be pretty good at it.
Yeah.
Now, there are issues that we don't have that you would have in a larger city, like air rights, things that, we don't have to confront here.
Right.
So I'm not skilled at that because I'm in a market that we're not doing that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if I went to Chicago, I'd have to learn how to do that.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
You become adaptable.
Do you feel when you moved here in '96 to now, would you have anticipated what happened to Northwest Arkansas in the last since '96 to 2025?
No way. No way. I mean, anybody that says that they're clairvoyant, they got skill. They are.
Crystal ball somewhere.
Oh my gosh, they are brilliant. I want to drink whatever they're having. No, I had no idea. And part of what brought me here, my mother had developed cancer in Fort Smith, and I kept coming back up from Dallas more frequently to see her. And as I would come up here to see her, I would drive up here, get her out of the house in Fort Smith.
Yeah.
I see this area, and I'm thinking, God, this is going to take off. But I had not a scintilla of an idea
Yeah.
what was going to happen here. How could I have had?
No.
I mean,
yeah.
and, again, your success is so dependent on where you are, when you're there, and what your work ethic is, and then spiced with a little good luck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All of that. I
Yeah.
mean,
You hinted at that earlier. Yeah.
you can't claim it's all about you because it's not all about you.
Yeah. I mean, we're quite fortunate and blessed to be, and I tell my wife all the time, to be in this area of the country where it's growing so quick. It feels like you could almost buy a Cracker Jack box and it's going to be worth $50,000 more the next year at this point. And I think it's almost and tell me if I'm wrong, almost like a catch-22 where like guys like Brandon and I, we don't, we're really risk tolerant because we don't know what bad really feels like. When 2008 happened, we didn't even know the word real estate.
Yeah.
So we're just like, buy. We don't have the institutional memory to know bad.
To your point, I had no idea in Oklahoma City that things were going to go bad. Nobody did.
Yeah.
All I had was your experience of success.
Yeah.
That's all I knew. If I didn't put a deal together, I'm losing.
Yeah.
And I kept putting these deals together to feed the bear.
Yeah.
Okay. Because if I'm not getting fees, I'm not doing it. If I'm not putting it, and I had no index for failure. And when I mean failure, doesn't mean it's ascribed to you.
Yeah.
Failure in an era, I didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
And when it hit, it knocked the breath out of me. Really, I didn't know what that was, and I mean it was a hit in the jaw and the stomach and groin and anything else. I mean, I was reeling. I had all that responsibility with 100 partners, and I was at that time about 27 or 8 was the time involved, and so you have no index now. And I don't want to overstate the case, but people say, well, "What's your best deal?" What's your best deal? Well, define the best deal to whom?
Yeah.
What are you looking for? Is it appreciation? Is it cash flow?
Yeah.
Is it long-term growth? Is it immediate return? What is it?
Yeah.
You got to define what a good deal is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what their needs are.
But now, I used to I wouldn't say that right now, but I would say, this area, you could almost say that now, but it wouldn't be technically correct. Okay, you want to be correct as you can.
Right.
But yeah,
right.
you could say early on, throw a dart at a map, and you're going to pick an area that's going to grow. It may be not as fast as the one down the road, but you're not going to lose.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, it's been that kind of an area, and over long term, it's probably not far from the truth now.
Yeah.
Unless it's in a swamp,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
or it's a waste dump or something.
Yeah.
It's going to grow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of been, well, we talked about it before is, you know, the data shows me that we can be a little risky. We can do this and do that. You could just decide if you want to. we can be a little risky because the area data shows that like we can buy this and do this because we're going to double in population in the next however. And if we're going to double in population in the next 15, 20 years, and we're going to be around, there's a lot of room to mess up, to hit your face and still keep walking or jogging or something. And so that's why Brandon, Brian, and I, we've talked about all the time is like, man, I think it does boil down to what, you know, you don't just go out and buy $1 million home and try to long-term rent it out. I mean, you don't do stupid stuff like that, but you find the best deal for the specific person and then you keep trudging forward. And, you know, I think having institutional memory from men like yourself and knowing the history of what could happen, I think is smart to have in the back of our brain. But I don't know. This area, I feel very blessed to be here.
Yeah, this is a place. Somebody told me recently, a client, he was thinking about moving to Florida, and he's very successful. He said, "You know, this place is a hard place to leave." I said, "You know, it is. It really is with all the culture here now going on, and it's just a fun place." And talk about risk tolerance. Never say never about anything.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, never say that you cannot lose.
Yeah.
Never say that you've reached the top. Never say you've reached the bottom unless you're in a hospital. I mean, to take this in the right way, the human being, the range of good and bad, okay, in my mind, would be from Hitler to Jesus. Okay, that's the range of the human being.
Right.
And markets are the same way. They can go below flat. They can go below zero, under, okay, and they can go to the altitude.
Yeah.
That's the range. And you want to be on the positive side. But some things are happening that happen way beyond your foresight, your control. It could be something in Ukraine that affects us. In fact, we got so many things affecting this market right now.
Yeah.
I mean, my gosh, the things that can influence lease rates, construction. How about infrastructure right now? It's infinite.
Such a good point. And risk tolerance is so dependent on the person. It's dependent on the age is a big factor. Experience is a big factor. You know, at a young age, you can outwork some mistakes. You know, I think it is part of the mindset, but also behind like what makes a good deal and what makes a bad, like it's totally relevant to what your goals are.
What do you need?
What do you need? Do you need short-term gains? Do you need what your risk? But that risk appetite also goes into what's a good deal. Hey, this deal we can flip in a couple of years, but it also, we have high risk because we're putting a lot of money into it. We're depending on the market to appreciate. So that risk tolerance also goes into what a good return is. You know, maybe someone is okay having a very good basis, you know, making an average return, but their risk is very low. So I think those all go into the equation.
Yeah. It really does.
You mentioned age. Believe me, age has a lot to do with your risk tolerance. I'm not as brazen as daring as I was because I know if it turns out sour, whether it's my fault or convergence of events outside of my control, I don't have the time to work, as Brian said, to work it out.
Yeah.
You know, a friend of mine says, "Steve, your runway's getting short." So I don't have the runway to work out of it anymore.
Well, you might not have the subconscious pressure to take the risk either. You know, us being young, we're like, hey, time to take risks. We feel like we're in our.
If you don't do it now, when you got the three of you or your age, I'm telling you what, if I would give everything away, I would. Not my family. You say that.
Yeah, they're safe.
But not that. But I would give everything away I have, whatever it is, away to go back 30, 40 years and get that back and do it again. I really would. And would I do some things differently? I'd probably take more risk. I would like to have what I know now.
And hit the
If
reset.
I went back, I wanted to know now what I didn't know then.
Right.
Yeah.
I think there used to be a song about something like that.
That's got to
I
be.
think
a
so.
country song.
Yeah, it's a country song. Yeah, yeah. Wish I knew.
Yeah.
Wish I didn't know now what I knew then.
Something
Something
like
like
George
that.
Strait.
Yeah. Steve, just as we talk about the success of Northwest Arkansas, what do you think from a brokerage standpoint and just from an investor standpoint, what do you think you've learned over the years when it comes to the, there's cycles in real estate. What do you think the biggest things that you've learned over those years? We talk about, mitigating risk and taking risk and all those kind of things. Like, what do you think the biggest thing that you've learned just being around real estate, brokering and all that kind of stuff over the last?
That's a real good question. I could.
That could be a whole
expand on-
podcast.
yeah,
episode.
that's a whole podcast right there. Well, when you're looking at making projections, you're looking in the rearview mirror of what the past was.
Right.
And the past is not really a good reflection of what tomorrow will be because so many new things happen. With technology today, you can pick up the paper on any given day and the world can be upside down.
Yeah.
With tariffs or weather or inflation or whatever. I think that I've learned that you really need to listen to your either side of the table in which you're talking to, a buyer, a seller, a tenant, a lessor. You really need to listen. And no deal is ever without consequences to both sides of the table. And they have diametric visions. And you need to really, in my mind, it's not just about the deal. It's about what's behind the deal that you don't see.
Yeah.
And if you ask the right questions and listen, you can get some insight into what's driving that buyer, whether it's corporate or a family or a local, a proprietor.
Yep.
The same thing on the buying side. I mean, there's something driving that more than the deal. It's not just the deal. It never is.
Yeah.
There's always tentacles behind why they're doing what they're doing. And I think I'm a professional broker, okay? So I need to work in the environment in which I'm in, the geography and the economic climate in which I'm in. So I need to listen to those two players, what they're trying to achieve at that point in time in this environment, and try to create something that will be a fit. So you just don't sell.
Yeah.
Just selling the deal. I got to sell this building.
Yeah.
You need to find the right party for it, the right want, the right need, it fits somebody's investment strategy, or it fits somebody's occupancy needs. Okay, if it's a sale on the selling side, what are they going to do with those funds?
Yeah.
What's the plan? What's the agenda? Is there an agenda, or is there motivation? There probably is. I mean, that's just somebody new doesn't understand that probably. It's like a new deer. When the leaves move, he doesn't know what that means. But an experienced deer hears the leaf flicker in the wind. There's danger.
Yeah.
There's something, and right away they're alert.
Yeah.
And you can't read that out of a book. You just learn it by being with people, experiencing success and failure. And the best feeling, everybody's commission driven, no exception. But when you walk away at the table, both parties feel that they are where they want to be,
Win-win.
then you've done your work successfully.
Yeah.
And both sides you have a good rapport with both of them. I think to me, that's the real success.
And if
every now and then you'll do a deal, have a success, and somebody's not quite happy.
Yeah.
You go home and you think, well,
Got my
I got it done, but I wish they were happier. I wish, I don't know what, maybe I should have, woulda, coulda have done something
Yeah.
that turned a screw that I didn't turn. Maybe I should have turned it left instead of right. I think that's what I've learned a lot about is being a broker. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. If you,
Beautifully answered.
yeah, if you're listening, I would rewind that past 2 to 3 minutes and listen to that a couple times back, because you're looking at the past performance, but with, it all summed up. Have your detective hat on. You're looking at the past performance. That's an indicator of where you're going, but that's not the full weight. The past is not always indicative of the future. Asking the right questions, that's going to not only set yourself up for a good transaction, but feeling good afterwards. If you're just running and gunning and trying to get a deal just to do a deal, you're kind of setting yourself up not for success too there. So
Absolutely.
ton of golden
And
nuggets.
people can
good there.
feel that.
Yeah.
When you're just trying to get the deal done, they feel that. They feel that pressure you're giving them.
And to Steve's point, you might feel that too. Maybe you didn't feel as thorough. You're not gonna. Maybe you get the short buck, but you're not gonna last a long time. Like just trying.
Not going
to
to develop that into a long-term relationship.
Yeah.
Potentially.
Brian does such a good job, and what he does, and I've been watching him for a few years. He knows how to create and establish and maintain relationships. And most of our business in the office, most of it's referrals. Now I'm still promoting all the time because you need new fish in the aquarium.
Yeah.
All the time. People move away, they get sick, they get married, they get divorced, whatever, things change, life changes. You need new fish. But the warm calls, and I'm not going to mention a name here. Somebody walked into my office the other day. This has been about a month ago. I hope he didn't hear this. I'm not going to mention his name. I'm not going to tell you what.
Don't mention his name.
He'd tell you. He said, Steve, I want to buy some property. I hadn't seen the man in 2-3 years.
Yeah.
I want to buy some property. I want you to help me. And I said, where is it? And it's a well-known street.
Yeah.
I guess they were. And we closed it in about 6 weeks because the timing was right.
Yeah.
It was just right.
Right.
The things just fell into place.
Just felt good.
But it was the thing about it was, he said, you know what? You've shown me so many years property. I never bought a thing. I said, yeah, you're right. You never bought a thing.
Price per hour is pretty low.
But he said, you always took care of me. You always, you never want to make people feel or think, even if when you're young and you're really struggling, you leave and you think, God, I got to get this deal. I can't make my car payment, whatever.
Yeah.
You never show it. You go in the alley when you're finish it, and you hold your gut and you say, oh my God, I needed that deal.
Yeah.
But you never show that you need the deal. Never make it about you.
Yeah.
It's about them. And if you think that way, if you think about helping this person get what they want, the money will come.
Yep.
That just equates with the money. You're in athletics and you play basketball season right now.
Yeah.
And you don't think about, I've got to make this bucket. I just gotta make it. If you just, I'm playing for the team and I'm going to make it. You go.
Yeah.
If you study it too hard, you're your own worst enemy.
Yeah.
Just do it and think about the person you're trying to help. Listen to them and you forget about yourself.
Yeah.
You can worry about your situation when you go home that night.
Yeah.
And when you walk out the door in the morning, whether things are really beautiful and rosy or maybe a little cloudy, whatever it is.
It's gonna be both.
It could be both. Whatever it is, you put it as you guys. Sometimes it takes some self-control. Chutzpah, if you know what that is. That's chutzpah is a Hebrew word.
Cool.
Chutzpah means you've got guts. You
Right.
you put it together.
Yeah.
You got to do what you got to do. You
Yeah.
know, I got to suture this up and take care of my day.
Yeah.
You know, I'll deal with my home tonight.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's not tomorrow night, but tonight I'm going to deal. You know, you got to do when you're professional. If you were a professional singer, dancer, whatever, it's showtime, curtain time. You go out, and it's people bought tickets. It's showtime. No matter what your problem is,
Yeah.
you
We're no
deal with it
different.
when you're off the stage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's Steve's 3 W's: work, when, and where. Is what I equate that to. Working hard to put yourself in the right situation when something arises, when the person comes, knocks on your door that you haven't seen in 2 to 3 years, because you put yourself in that position. I think it's such a common denominator of success of the guests that we've had on this podcast, and the think how can I help the person in front of me? Not necessarily like I win by making you win. Like that's such a common denominator of success.
We've heard that time and time again from people we've had on the show. They're like, if you lift the client up, like you're going to be successful.
you know, all you guys, and I've known Brian a while, but you're recently acquainted.
Yeah.
All you guys have it. I can tell you do. You do.
I appreciate that.
I'm usually right on my people. Not always. I'll make an exception. And I want to expand a little bit on your question.
Yeah.
There is opportunity and there's challenges. They are not the same in my mind. Okay. A challenge, I look at a challenge as I need to get my systems down where they flow. So when I see an opportunity, I'm prepared. My systems are in place to chase the opportunity.
Yeah.
They're not the same. Does that make sense?
That's really good.
So an opportunity arises and I'm scattered and I'm not organized and I don't know
Can't chase
where
it.
I'm doing. I'm not prepared to be successful and competitive in chasing that. But if I'm organized and everything, you know, I know where my bullets are. Not real life here. But
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're in
I know where my ammo is. Okay. I'm prepared to chase that opportunity. An opportunity means possibilities. It doesn't mean success. Doesn't mean failure. It means neither. This is to be decided.
Yep.
You know, and how you
Steve,
attack.
correct me if I'm wrong. So what I'm hearing from what you're saying is potentially that could mean passing a smell test for a potential client is going, hey, we interviewed this guy, and if you don't know what you're talking about, have certain systems in place, have certain processes in place, that client's going to be someone you could never chase after because they know. I mean, people in our industry can smell BS from a mile away.
Yes. Yeah.
And if you don't have that foundation laid of what you're talking about, those systems, processes, just being able to BS your way through a conversation here and there, they can smell if you are doing that. So having the foundation of knowing your stuff and having that set so that you can't, am I hearing that correctly?
Yeah. I think if I see an opportunity in a sector which I haven't worked in a while, okay, medical. I'm not done anything medical in quite a while. Okay, I'm not really. My systems are not in place. I really can't discuss it intelligently. I mean, I know there's a lot of plumbing needs. I know there's parking. I know fundamentals, but I'm not sure where the market is and maybe that neighborhood. So I need to go do some research. Before I open my mouth. So I'm prepared.
And you know to tell that, let's say someone comes to you and they're like, Steve, I need to buy this big commercial hospital or something like that. You go, you feel confident to say like, hey, let me do some research.
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
That actually happened yesterday in Tiny Town. So he's asking me about it. And
You're not just
honest.
gonna
I
say
said, look, I need to do. Let me get back with you.
Yeah.
I don't want to walk something back. Give me a couple of days. I'll call you back and we'll discuss this further.
Yeah.
Okay. And they respect that.
Yeah.
People
It's just shoot off your mouth. I mean,
Yeah. I think that's important
That's so
too
good.
for not only for the brokerage business, but for investors and investors listening is to be able to have the bullets in the gun and have the preparation of, Brian, I think Brian's talked a little bit about in past podcasts. Like, I mean, how many deals before you bought your first bigger deal? How many deals do you think you passed up or analyzed? I mean, maybe 50, hundreds. Maybe?
Yeah, 100. I mean, it's changed the market. I mean, now it's like underwrite 100 deals and do one. You know, before it might have been 50 deals and do one, or 20.
Yeah,
but yeah.
So it's all about. I think a lot of it, like what you're saying, is having the bullets in the gun to not only understand as an investor to understand what you're looking to get into, but also even with the other arms of it, you know, understanding the debt and how to get the debt and who the partners of getting the debt looks like. You know, it's just
who those partners need to be.
Who those partners need to be to help you with it. Things like that. I think that's got to be an important thing for you and clients that you work with, right?
Yeah, it is. You know, beautiful high-rise buildings, but it really comes down to people.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all about peace. That phone, I don't know. I can't seem to turn it off. I've done everything I noticed. I need to step on it. Relationships and like, you know, this industry, the variation. Or forget the industry. Just take a broker. Just as that piece of an industry. There's construction. There's finance. There's all these different appraisers, surveyors, title companies. There's so many different aspects. But just what I'm in, broker, just being a broker, the things you touch, from finance to marketing to management of people, managing your systems, keeping up with rates up and down. What's influencing them? Infrastructure is our to me. I think if there's a cap, I don't mean a cap rate. I mean a cap on success here now. Long term is infrastructure. We're almost a victim of our own success.
Yeah,
we've had so much success. We're outdoing the capacity of this of development.
Yeah.
Well, that affects what? It affects sellers. It affects brokers. It affects buyers. It affects construction people.
Yeah.
Title companies, insurance people. Affects the whole chain.
I think that's something we've heard with Tom Allen, and then one with Mayor Doug Sprouse when we had him on, was a common thing that they were thinking about a lot. You know, of course, Tom's not a mayor, but he's in a lot of the stuff.
He almost is.
He almost is. Mayor
You hear that, Tom? Mayor Tom.
Mayor Tom. But they're thinking a lot about the infrastructure, and they're going, what's this? We know the data, and the data shows we're continuing. We have 40 some odd families that move here a day. They're thinking about that a lot. And so I think it's a great point you brought that up, and listener listening, like, the people over some decision-making stuff here are thinking about the infrastructure. I guess I'm more so talking to the listener right now. And so I think you're correct. We almost are a victim of our own success. And I think the local people feel it. You feel a little bit more congested in traffic. You know, going out to Centerton, coming in at 5 o'clock just absolutely sucks. Like there's some roads getting to the interstate right now that, and I would 100% agree with you, but more so I wanted to make a point to the listener right there.
There's a lot of impedance in deals right now, particularly with land deals, because you buy it, you got to sit on it for we don't know how long. If it's a loan, you're paying interest on it. If it's cash, you paid for it. It's money sitting there sleeping. It's not working. It could be in a bank account. It could be in a crypto. It could be in anything. Hopefully earning money.
Doing something
just
else.
laying there flat. So infrastructure affects every single person. I don't care who you are. I don't care where you are in the table. Will be affected adversely if it's not solved. But we'll see what happens. It's all about money and timing. And even if you have the money today, just getting it done with environmental issues, construction issues, and just a lot. So this has been really fun and interesting. I don't know if I've talked too much.
No, you're good. I think it'd be good for us to go over some of the Skyline report too. We have a lot of people from across the country, honestly, that listen because there's a lot of eyeballs in Northwest Arkansas. And so giving them a little bit of a breakdown of what we're seeing in the Skyline report. Listener, if you're listening, or you're listening, so you're hearing this, the Skyline report is a local report that goes over commercial, residential numbers for 2024, and I think it'd be good to just do a quick little recap of this. Maybe not the let's spend like 5-6 minutes on this, and then we have some fun questions to end out the show. But
Okay.
I think it's been great. Brian, could you start us off with some of the stuff? We'll kind of be a little fact spitting off here about Northwest Arkansas market.
Yeah, and I've got the commercial. I got the highlights from the second half of 2024. Commercial highlights, multifamily highlights. Obviously, that's my niche that I've chosen. Multifamily, and the market vacancy for Northwest Arkansas remained at 3.3%.
That's really good.
That's really people. Locally, people have this kind of fear of they see cranes in the sky, they see more developments happening, but despite all the development, there is just so much population growth and such a need for these new apartments that they're able to absorb this supply. So,
And for national reference too, what do you think national vacancy rates look like right now? I mean, maybe 8 to 10%.
yeah, you better be. If someone's not, usually I would say if you're buying an A-class deal, you should underwrite for a 5% vacancy, and then you probably should underwrite for another 5% of concessions, bad debt. A-class, not so much bad debt, but usually around 10% total economic vacancy. Turnover, but you can't underwrite that in Northwest Arkansas. I thought, which was really crazy, is Springdale, the vacancy rate decreased to 1.9%. So,
Wow.
Being below 2% is unheard of, I think, in any kind of submarket. So obviously that points to a need for more housing in Springdale, particularly. Bentonville decreased to 4%. So that actually was, Bentonville increased to 4.5%. And even 5% because of new development, but it's gone back down. So I think you'll have these kind of ebbs and flows. Rogers was decreased to 5.3, but they were up to they went all the way up to 6.9% in the second half of 2024. So
They dropped
to 5.3. So
almost seeing like a little uptick when stuff gets built. It's like boom, and then it kind of the field evens out, and then it comes back down.
demand catching up.
Yeah, it's interesting to see the absorption rates of how quickly things are getting. I mean, multifamily gets filled up, right?
Yeah, I would mention to those numbers, you look at what's driving that, and those are numbers, those are valid numbers. And in my mind, there's several things that are driving that. They're all pretty obvious, so I'm not saying that everyone here at the table doesn't see that, but you have in-migration. At the same point in time, you have inflation make it very difficult to finance a home. At the same time, you have the cost of goods, of lumber, materials, going inflation, making it difficult to buy. You have all those restrictions on development, on buying a home. Yet at the same time, simultaneously, you have this in-migration, which we want. So you got flows of people coming in. And it's so expensive to buy a home because of all the things that are maybe not so localized. The inflation is not local. The cost of goods and services is not local. Now the restrictions locally with all the city restrictions, that adds to development challenges. But all that going on, the convergence of all those events, at the same time, this wave of people coming in, where can they go but apartments? It's economically the only thing they can do.
You're right.
Now that won't last. Nothing lasts forever. I can tell you that. And nothing like you think you hear the music and you're on the dance floor. And rates fall. Okay. And we have a fallen. Everything stops, and all of a sudden prices start falling, which is not a good thing. Okay. And all those projections, I've been through it. Okay. Now what if they're going? What happened to my beautiful projections?
Exactly.
You know, and you made your plan among all those things that are going on at the same time, and the light switched, the music stopped, and you're on the dance floor.
The lights turn on.
The lights turn on.
Steve, I'd love to hear your thoughts on, as a real estate investor, if that's going to be, let's say that's going to be 100% of your portfolio and what you believe in, how do you avoid the ebbs and flows of good times and bad times?
That's a real good question. If you stayed in real estate,
Mm-hmm.
okay, well, there's things you can do. You can diversify into sectors. You can diversify into geography, not just going into one area of the country,
That's good.
because there's different
Really good.
dynamics in different ones. I think sectors and geography and timing
Mm-hmm.
are all variables that you could do if you're just going to do real estate. If you put all your eggs in one basket, like I did in Oklahoma City, was mass vacancies there. It was called U-Haul City, literally, because the parking lots in the apartment buildings, and we would give a 1 month free rent, 2 months free rent at the front.
Yeah.
When they burn that off, they're gone. The U-Haul's gone.
Just free rent.
Yeah.
Living for free, baby.
Yeah, and we keep repainting them, redoing them. We think the walls are getting smaller because they got so much paint.
Yeah. 30 layers deep.
Yeah, well, but the paint's a foot deep now. It used to be a 1,000-foot apartment. Now it's 850.
That's good.
It's just the environment changes. It's so fluid. When you're successful, it's not all about you, and when you don't make it, it's not all about you either.
Yeah.
That's
good.
It's the truth. It's the truth. And Brian is very familiar with multifamily here and does a really great job. When you look at all these sectors, we don't have a strong inventory over an abundance of any inventory right now here.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Every single one of them is in short supply.
Yeah.
Now, that's an enigma that will not last. you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
It's
That's
a
a great
photograph in time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Reading the office vacancy rate decreased to 6.3. Just even decreasing is not something you hear nationally. Like Northwest Arkansas
Yeah.
office, being under 10% is wild to say for office, and even decreasing is also talking about where being in the right market for that. It's
Yeah, I love that. I think we talk about this often. Like, Austin now is hitting. You see in the headlines like Austin apartments vacancies are going up a ton, and single family homes are dropping 38%, and people are freaking out. But I think at some point, Northwest Arkansas has to hit that. And,
It will.
It's inevitable, right? I
Yeah.
mean, Austin has obviously had this awesome come up and this rise, and then eventually it flattens out, and maybe migration isn't as much as it was before, or maybe it's finally supply has caught up to demand, and I guess
Maybe
all of
people
those
go,
factors.
"Oh, Austin's going to crap," but like Austin coming from here to here is still
Right,
pretty good.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It became almost a victim of its own success.
Yeah.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And Florida's had highs and lows. I mean, Florida's a non-tax state, no tax.
Yeah.
And
Insurance.
it's,
yeah,
but I think if you spread your capital and your deals into various sectors and various areas of growth, cities that are growing,
Mhm.
look at those numbers. What's driving the numbers?
Yeah.
When somebody asks you for, all you guys know this, somebody asks you for a vacancy report. No, take that back. They want to see comps. They
Yeah.
want to see comps.
Yeah.
And you give them paper. And here the comp is the rates per foot are X, and over here they're Y. Just looking at the paper doesn't tell you what's driving that. You got to
Yeah.
go out and see
right.
why is it different here than there within a block or two away.
Yeah.
Probably some topography changes, some demographic changes, some flood issues. The numbers are driven by something,
Yeah.
and just the numbers, just email. I'll email you the numbers, the comps. If they don't go out there and look, you send emails to Los Angeles.
Yeah.
You send comps. I'll send you the comps. They're not here to look at the property.
Yeah.
So they see the differentiation in range, but they don't really know.
Yeah.
You got to go out and put your foot on the ground. You got to see it. Why? There's a reason why this home sold for this and that one with the same footage sold for differently a block away.
Yeah. Like, well, this one's right across from the new Walmart headquarters, and this one's half a mile.
His next one, they changed tires and oil
Yeah.
place.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
there's
So
there's things driving those numbers,
Yeah.
but in our sector, every single sector is not an abundant supply.
Mm-hmm. That's a great point.
Not one that's in a morass, right, in a problem.
Mm-hmm.
So you could put some warehouse deals together. Multifamily, single family, whatever.
Yeah. It's across the board.
Across the board.
Mhm.
I think about buying in front of what you perceive that where the freight train's coming, where the lights are.
Mhm.
Okay, like the airport.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's a freight train coming there. There's some sewer issues there. There's some things worked out. But long term, there's a freight train there. If you're patient, you
Yeah.
wait. You got to wait.
Might have to sit for a little
Yeah, you know, and if you say, are you a patient? You have patient money? No, I'm in a hurry. Well, the airport's probably not for this. Put that aside.
Yeah.
Put that aside. I want to buy something and flip it. I don't go that far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not the airport. That's a great point. I think what you talked a lot is like knowing your client, what they're looking for, what their needs are. And something I feel that I've heard you say is you listen really well, and you listen to what the needs of the buyer and the seller are, and you take a step back and you breathe and you go, what's a win-win for the seller and the buyer here, and how can I converge both of those together? And that's what makes a real win.
Yeah, some of it's family issues if it's a family. Some of it's corporate issues, tax issues. Some things times are they've got cash they need to place. It's doing nothing. That's a situation.
Yeah.
I love hearing that situation.
We got a
hole in my pocket.
You mean you don't need financing?
Love it. Yeah.
Years ago, I was with this guy showing a warehouse, and I didn't know who he was, and he drove up in an old truck, and he looked like somewhat ragged, and he didn't say very much. I walked him around a 40,000 square foot or something building like that. He didn't say hardly anything. So finally I said, do you like? Because he was just silent, just looking, just kept looking. I said, do you like what you see? He nods his head, yeah. I said, well, are you ready to make an offer? He says, yeah, I think so. I said, where do you bank? Arvest? I said, follow me. That's all you need to know.
Follow me.
Case closed.
Case closed. Yeah.
Closed.
Oh my gosh, that's so good. Let's wrap it up with this. I think I'd like maybe listeners like to know, what does the next 5-10 years look like for you? As you know, you've of course made such a great name brand. You've branded yourself great with the Fineberg grain. And what do you envision for yourself over the next 5-10 years, and what do you see the commercial market doing in the next 5 to 10 years?
Well, let's talk about the market first.
Yeah.
This market, short term, is going to have some bumps.
Yeah.
Due to infrastructure. I don't know how you cannot. I mean, you can't fix those things with the flip of a light switch.
Correct.
But long term, its positioning in the United States geographically, the talent here, the educational the schools here, and things they're becoming better. I think. I think there's things being done to improve education, our low crime rate, our seasonality here, are all conducive for a really in our minds here. This is an area of a lot of innovation.
Yeah.
Technological innovation, way beyond what we're thinking today. So this is going to be a long-term good play.
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily put all my eggs in one basket, but if you're going to pick a place, this is a horse you bet on.
Yeah. Yeah.
For sure.
You really do.
Yeah.
And I say that every medical, look how our medical is growing here.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
Crazy.
That's going to be an industry by itself. Forget, how can you forget retail here? My gosh, largest retailer in the world. But medical is becoming its own,
Mm-hmm.
its own entity, its own being. Just that, now all the support for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then home construction, road construction. I mean, everything here is. This is the new frontier, and a lot of young people moving in here. I think that's a great thing.
Yeah.
This is not a senior citizens. I shouldn't say that because of my age.
Yeah. I 100% agree.
And for myself, my runway is getting shorter. So I've talked to my wife about what the future is, but I love working. I got a really great team of people.
Yeah.
Some have been with me 10, 11 years, 12 years. So I really like that. I like the camaraderie.
Yeah.
The give and take. The differentiation in ideas that we bounce off and always not agree, but we agree to disagree and move on.
Yep.
I love marketing. I love to market. I think that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
I like to be in front of people trying to make it put two opposite ends of the deal together.
Yeah.
I like doing that. I think that's fun.
Yeah.
So as far as I know, I'm going to stay on the dance floor if I stay healthy and
Yeah. Keep dancing.
and keep dancing. Yeah, as far as I know.
Yeah.
Steve.
I'll call you if it changes.
Can you tell the person listening how they can reach out to you if they're looking for something in the commercial world or just how to contact your company or
Oh,
yourself?
gladly.
Yeah.
How many times do you want me to repeat that?
You can repeat it many times as you
Make
want.
a pause on this.
Okay. Well, my personal cell number is 479-409-4756. The office number, and we have some beautiful, in the way in which they answer the phone, beautiful receptionist, and that's 479-271-4161. And they will be glad to take your call. They will listen and direct you to who they feel will be most apt to help you. It could be me, it could be another agent. If they're not sure, they'll probably give it to me, and I'll decide whether it's I should do that or bring in another agent. I work a lot of deals together with my agents. I love working with them. And then email address is Steve at ARK Real Estate, and that's one word, ARK Real Estate. For those of you out of state, ARK was the old abbreviation for Arkansas. It's not Alaska. It's ARK Real Estate, arkrealestate.com.
Maybe.
I love it.
This has been really fun.
It's been
and
great.
I so much appreciate Brian being invited. I really do.
We'll bring you back again.
Yeah.
I'd love to come back.
Yeah,
It's
so
fun.
many-
I have more fun than I thought. I'd never done this before.
You had so
Yeah,
many
Steve-
great nuggets and all
Steve,
that.
one of the last nuggets I want to reiterate, because I really like this quote. I thought it'd be good for investors or anybody listening. But success, what you said was success is a combination of work ethic, location, timing, and then a little bit of luck. So we appreciate your nuggets that you brought today.
Yeah.
For sure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
It really is. It's the mix. It's not any one thing. It's never just you. It's not.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
If you fish in waters where there's no fish, I don't care how good a fisherman you will catch no fish.
Thank you guys for listening. We'll see you on the next episode.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed the show, make sure to give us a follow on your favorite podcast platform so you never miss an update.
Don't forget to connect with us on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn for more real estate insights and behind-the-scenes content. Have a question you want us to cover? Send it our way. And if you're interested in sponsoring the show, visit nwainvesting.com to get in touch. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.